Hi, friends. Welcome back to Budgeting Over 40. I'm Melissa, and today we're going to spend some time reflecting on how we spent our money during the first pay period of October. So let's get started. Okay, friends, I started out with this pre plan before getting paid, but it is equally important for me to take the time to reflect on how I actually spent the money compared to what I budgeted. So the last time I was here to do the check-in in the middle of the pay period, I told you all that my son was going to Frost Valley on a 3-day, 2-night trip with school, all expense paid. The only thing they needed to bring was spending money. Now, I did give my son $60 and I had notated it here, but I did end up changing it to 54 because he came home with just about $8.30. He had $6 in bills, and then the rest was in coins that I let him keep. But the bad thing that happened on the trip was that one of the students stole $40 from him. So I did give him $60, which was three $20 bill. They were going to stop to get food on the road, and then the rest was for him to buy little trinkets to bring home, something for his sister or something for me and dad. And he told me that somebody stole $40, two of his $20 bill. Now, I wasn't happy, but I did sit down with him and kind of figure out what he spent the money on, or if he spent the money other than somebody else taking it. But when we got to the bottom of it, I did find out that somebody did take the money because he told me exactly what he bought. I reached out to the teacher and I let her know that this happened on the trip. There has been no resolve, so we had to eat the cost. Now, the big thing about it is I have been teaching my son about the responsibility of money. I have been showing him, budgeting. He sits with me some of the time that I do my videos. He goes with me to the grocery store and he is allowed to enter the transactions into YNAB on my phone. He wants to pump gas to see if he can stay within the range. We are trying to get him educated when it comes to money. So I told him that it's his loss because that $40 could have been for him to spend in other places. So now he needs to be a lot more responsible. It's hard for me, and I chose not to say not to trust his friends, but I told him he had to be very careful because things like this could happen. And when it happens, it's very sad. So he's very sad that he lost his $40. But he's a kid, so he has moved on. Who it's hurting right now, it's me because that $40 could have been to do something else. But anyway, we're gonna move on. On the 15th, NF orthodontist for his braces for $225 that was charged to my credit card. On the 18th, I went to the local market and I picked up some household consumable, which is disposable foil pans. I made a dish to take to the after school program for them to enjoy. And I didn't have any foil pans or any containers that I just wanted them to keep. So I spent $19.54. Then I went to Speedway. I picked up snacks and I think water that day for work for $6.99. I also did get pizza on that day for $2. I love garlic knots. That's all I bought. So $2 was what I spent there. On the 20th, I went to CVS and I picked up some food, which is cereal and snacks for them to take to school, $4.72. That same trip, I did have to buy toilet paper and lotion. I believe there was something else that was bought in the consumable, but I don't remember what it is. Maybe toothpaste. Toothpaste. Yes, for $21.16. Then I also picked up some over the counter meds for $27.48. I went to the local cafe. This was a day I spoke about this in my paycheck number 2 allocation. I went to the local cafe to pick up dinner for both my partners and I. I spent $40.58, but I got $35 in reimbursement. So technically, what was paid for out of my pocket for dinner was $5.58. Next, I went back for more garlic knots on the 21st for $5. This time I got a little bit more because I love garlic knots. Then on the 21st, my loan payment came out for my personal loan for $1,151.04. Then I did have to take some cash from our home stash. And when I did my paycheck allocation, I did not remember that this needs to come out. So this is going to have to come back out of the money that hubby is going to transfer in. We did take out $200 out of that stash because I needed to cover the personal loan and whatever was spent within the few days before my next paycheck. So that's something that we're going to have to take out of hubby's income when he transfers it in. Next, on the 21st is my first YouTube paycheck. So this is 102 and 33 cents. I spoke about that and I'm very thankful, as you can see here, highlighted. So I did thank you guys already in my paycheck allocation video, but I do want to also thank you guys again. This is huge. So that was it. The next line item here is the next paycheck for this current pay period that we're in right now. So I didn't have a lot of transactions for pay period number one. We had to slow down on the spending because money is tight. So let's jump over and close out the numbers. Let's compare what we budgeted to what we actually spent because this is the big part. So you can see here the pay period is from the 10th to the 21st. I did get my paycheck on the 22nd. Rollover. So I did go back to my paper budget and realize that I didn't have a rollover in here when I did the check-in, but I did roll over $8.55 from the previous pay period to start out this one. My income came in, which is the only income that I was thinking about getting for this pay period, was $2,483.77. Miscellaneous income. So this is the YouTube check that I was expecting to get, and also the additional money that we had to take out of our home stash. So the miscellaneous income, 306 and 31 cents. There was no transfers. So the total income that we're working with, or we worked with for pay period number one, $2,798.63. Now let's take a look at the fixed expenses to see how we spent that money. So we did budget for the car insurance, and the car insurance had to be pushed to the next pay period that we're currently in. So it was due on the 13th, and because I needed to get groceries, I pushed that back. So the 252 that was budgeted, I used that for groceries and pushed the car insurance to be paid within this pay period, which it's actually already paid for already. So we didn't spend anything. Braces budgeted 225, that's what was charged. And there was nothing else that was budgeted within the fixed expenses. So instead of spending $477, we spent $225. Now into the debt section, I did budget 144 for credit card minimums, and that was what we spent. For the personal loan, budgeted $1,152 because I do budget using round numbers, but I paid out $1,151.04. For a firm, 745 was budgeted, rounded again. We spent 743 and 68 cents. So we did come in slightly under because, like I said, I do budget using round numbers. So $2,041 was the budgeted amount, and we spent $2,038.72. Now, in the savings section, nothing was budgeted to send over to savings, but what I did spend, the $65.02, was getting that vacuum cleaner. Remember, I spoke about this in the check in that I did an installment plan for a new vacuum cleaner for $65.02, and it falls under the home category. So that's only $65.02, nothing was budgeted. Now, into the variable expenses section, we didn't budget anything for car expense and we didn't spend anything for food. So, all that was left when we were done budgeting the fixed bills and the debt, all I had left was this $65 here to budget. And I don't know what I was thinking. It wasn't going to work because, of course, we need to eat. So I did throw $30 into the food category. But look at this, you guys, $281.69. So this is very important for me to reflect because when I'm going in to budget for the fixed expenses, as important as those are to be paid, it's also very important to budget realistically because we need to eat. So something here had to give, and it was the car insurance. So even though we only had $252 to use for the car insurance, we went over and spent $281.69. Given was budgeted at 5. We didn't do anything because I didn't get my son's haircut. Household consumable didn't budget anything but spent $68.59. In the my baby's category group, this was to get his haircut, but we didn't. We end up spending $77.28. The $30 we are way over. In the wellness category group, nothing was budgeted, but we spent $85.91. So from $65, you guys, to $513.47. Ouch. So this is not good. 531. Wait a minute. Let's see. Wow, I can't believe 531. That's a lot of money. It doesn't look like it's supposed to be that much because 281, almost 3. Yeah, almost 4. Yep, it's right. It looked like, it's not supposed to be because these are all under $100. But anyway, moving on into the miscellaneous section, we didn't spend any money there. So the total income we were working with, $2,798.63. We had a total expense of $2,842.21. That means we were over budget or over budget for all the income that we had by $43.58. And this was an amount that was hanging out on the credit card to be paid. So, you guys, this is what it is. Like I said, it is very important for you guys to take the time out to reflect, to compare what was budgeted to what you actually spent to say where you need to make any changes. So for me, one of the things that I've learned is that for the variable expense, we need to do a little bit better. We can't just say, okay, we're going to leave the money that's left over from paying everything else to put towards variable expenses because it is equally important, just like the debt and the fixed bills. So you guys, thank you so much for taking the time out to watch this video. How has October been for you guys? Please leave me a comment down below. I'm interested to know. We're working with it. We're trying our best. We're working with it. We just have a few more days and we can't wait to close out October. So that's it for this video, you guys. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe before you go. And I will talk to you guys in the next one. Bye now.